So where are we going this week?
Got a clue for you here. Okay, what's this make you think of?
Really?
Listen again.
Does this have anything to do with that TV show with the guys with those big scraggly beards?
Now you're getting warm. Why don't you hop in and travel with us? I'm Bob Phillips.
And I'm Kelly Phillips, and this is Texas Country Reporter.
TCR is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, financing Texas for 100 years. Mueller Incorporated, metal roofs, metal buildings, ironclad guarantees. Hoheim Prairie Insurance, Texans serving Texans since 1892. And top Texas towns Nacogdoches, Victoria, Abilene, Waco, and Hillsboro.
They say we live in a throwaway society. A flood of inexpensive, flimsy plastic goods has washed ashore from overseas. But in a backyard workshop nestled among the tall pines of Nacogdoches, Randy Legler swims against this tide.
I like to restore stuff, work with my hands, and I love taking an old toy and restoring them and bringing it back to life.
Randy repairs and restores toys from America's manufacturing heyday, starting in the 1890s and going through the 1960s. And while he sells or trades some of them, most never leave his workshop. They wind up as part of one of the finest collections in the country.
I pretty much have about 95% of all the American-made toys from the turn of the century. There were over 600 toy companies from the 20s all the way through the 60s. This is the golden years I have displayed here of American toy making.
Do you have any idea how many different toys you have in this building right now?
Over 7,500.
7,500?
Yes.
That's a lot of toys.
Yes. And I really lost count. I gave up counting.
Planes, trains, and automobiles, Mickey and Minnie, the Lone Ranger, Army men. Randy Legler's massive mechanical trip down memory lane can awaken the kid in, well, just about anyone.
Mother always said I was probably toy deprived as a kid, why I had such an interest to obtain so many of these toys that I never could afford as a kid.
This place is a baby boomer's paradise, and if you ask real nicely, like I did, Randy might even let you take a turn with his toys.
This is a 1926 Buddy L bus they made.
Good Lord.
And talk about the weight and the metal in them. There's more metal in that bus than a lot of cars today.
I can imagine that when people walk through that door there, they have one of two reactions. This is incredible, or he's got to be nuts.
Exactly. I've got both. Yeah, I've got mixed reactions. You know, the reason I have it displayed is to look at it, to show it. I like to show it to others. I like to talk about it, educate people, younger people. More of them are showing interest, so I don't mind spending time to help them kind of learn. But it's my escape. When I retired, I was in a very stressful job for many years, and when I got out of that, this is kind of my therapy.
Randy's collection started more than 40 years ago when his wife discovered that Randy was still a kid, and the flea market was his candy store.
The understanding was we'd want to buy furniture because we needed some furniture for the house. So we divided up to 300. My wife had 150, I had 150. She went one way and I went the other. She ended up coming back with some furniture, and I came back with 2 cast iron 1910 Kenton horse-drawn toys. And she was not too happy I'd spent my $150 on those 2 toys. I was elated, and that was probably the closest we ever had come to a divorce in our whole 46-year married life.
Since then, Randy has spent, well, his wife might be watching, so let's just say he spent more than $150 on his hobby. In recent years, antique toy prices have shot up thanks to pawn shop reality shows. But forget about those folks looking to fill their piggy banks. Randy Legler collects for the memories.
When you collect, you don't collect for investment if you're a true collector. You collect for what you like and what you want to, have to display or enjoy.
There's a big tornado moving down the road here, and you've got to grab one thing and hit the tornado shelter. What's going to be that one thing in all of this that you're going to take with you?
Probably the 1949 Murray Pontiac station wagon pedal car that was the first toy I ever got. A picture of me in it, 1949, in front of the Christmas tree. And I think you always go back to the toy you remember most as a kid. And so if I was going to have to grab one, and the size wasn't the limit, I would grab that pedal car. I'm going to collect to the day I die. I'm not worrying about liquidating the stuff. I recommend to people, if you're buying to collect because you enjoy it and not to investment or resale, whatever, and as long as you find happiness in it, don't get rid of it.
In Abilene, the frontier spirit is still alive through discovery, development, and creativity. Just 150 miles west of Dallas-Fort Worth. Savor Abilene's spirited venues, impressive dining, and specialty shopping. Book your trip today. I can give you 72 million reasons to grow with Capital Farm Credit. In fact, that's how much cash we return to stockholders this year. Our cooperative structure and loyal membership affords Capital Farm Credit one of the strongest patronage programs in the country, and we return almost 100% of earnings, which helps significantly reduce your cost of borrowing. Let us share profits with you. CapitalFarmCredit.com.
I was seeing the fire behind us. It was just so dark.
Then I heard a voice saying, evacuate immediately.
We found out that the house had actually burned down. I guess at that point we were both overwhelmed.
Hoheim seemed very concerned about our situation. I would call and say my name and they knew who I was. It's refreshing to find a company that was actually concerned about our needs. Hoheim really eased us through this life-changing experience.
There's a reason the readers of Texas Highways magazine named Nacogdoches one of the top 10 destinations in Texas. In fact, there are quite a few. Discover them for yourself with a visit to Nacogdoches. Texas starts here.
We cannot keep up. And they're like potato chips. People just can't buy one of them. They just fly off the shelf.
In a nondescript workshop, Charlie Holder and his staff are working hard to keep business booming. Another duck season is upon them, and that means people will soon be flocking to their little shop.
You have no off notes. Like a clarinet or an instrument, if you blow an off note, everybody knows it. Well,
Especially the ducks.
if you blow an off note on a duck, he's gone.
Well, according to Charlie, if it quacks like a duck, then it must be from Sure Shot Game Calls. They've been churning out calls for turkeys, squirrels, and everything in between since the 1950s. But their best seller to date is the call that put them on the map, the original, made by founder James Fernandez.
All night long I worked on that duck call. And when I got it right, I knew I had it. And that's the secret of anything. A lot of people can create things, but in creating something, is it really right?
James, otherwise known as Cowboy, went on to create the Yentzen Classic, the very first double reed duck call. Soon after, he entered several calling competitions, and both he and the Yentzen became world-class champions. And the name Cowboy Fernandez became synonymous with duck calling. Today, you might know a different family for their duck call dynasty, but long before Phil Robertson was a reality TV star, he was learning from Cowboy.
Phil, he was in my front room.
He came by to see you.
Oh yes, I started teaching him how to blow a duck call, and he started sounding good. And he thinks he's good now, but he ain't the master. The master still got it all.
Would that be you?
I hope so. And I hate to be braggadocious, but I am a monster.
But you know what we say in Texas? It ain't bragging if it's true.
Now that sounds like a duck.
Well, I guess if you're going to learn how to blow a duck call, you might as well learn from the master himself. I'm going to admit something to you.
All right.
I have no idea how to use one of these things.
Well, it's very, very easy. You bring it out to your hand.
Uh-huh. Okay, hold it like that, huh?
Just about like that.
I kind of wanted to hold it back here, like a cigar or something.
I ain't saying nothing.
All right, back like this. Okay, I'm listening.
Put them lips around it. That was pretty sloppy. Really sloppy.
Sound like a sick
Get
duck.
on, Bubba. That's how you call ducks.
Nowadays, Sure Shot's bigger than ever, but that wasn't always the case. After years of success, Cowboy thought Sure Shot game calls had run its course, and the company began to fade.
Cowboy is in his 80s, and about the time that we started talking, and I guess he saw something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself, that he felt like one day that I could take the reins of this operation.
With Charlie's help, they took a 50-year-old brand and turned it into a startup. From a new logo to an ever-growing social media presence, Sure Shot game calls became more than Cowboy could have ever imagined.
Charlie Holt is a special kind of person. He tries to reach the people that need our product, and he's going to do that.
We've even had competitors, other duck call manufacturers, come up to me and shake my hand and say, I want to thank you for keeping this company alive. This is history in my family, and it would just be a travesty to let this company go to the wayside. Just been a huge privilege to be able to be associated with Sure Shot game calls.
Good. Now let's do 6 again.
I don't see any ducks.
Yeah, well, they'll be here.
right.
He got coming down.
All right.
And here are some things you probably ought to know. On Saturday, October 24th, we'll celebrate the 20th annual TCR Festival. I hope you'll join us in Waxahachie for this unique event. You'll find original arts and crafts around every corner. Food. Oh, the food is always a treat, including special deliveries from Amy's Ice Cream and Bitty Pies, 2 desserts impossible to find in North Texas. And it all ends with a free, yes, I said free, concert from America. You don't want to miss it.
Now, coming up next, you're going to meet a girl who can do things with her hands that will absolutely blow you away.
We'll be right back.
I wanted an energy-efficient home and to put a metal roof on it because it would be entirely maintenance-free. I decided on Mueller because when I started asking around, they all said Mueller is by far the best company to deal with. I trusted Mueller because of the reputation that they had, and they surely delivered. It's dream home. I wanted a good roof on it.
Year after year, people continue to trust Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings.
TCR is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, financing Texas for 100 years. Mueller Incorporated, metal roofs, metal buildings, ironclad guarantees. Hoheim Prairie Insurance, Texans serving Texans since 1892. And top Texas towns Nacogdoches, Victoria, Abilene, Waco, and Hillsboro.
We got our side-by-side graphs and
supply demand.
Upward sloping supply, downward sloping demand curve, and what do we call this one?
Another academic year is about to come to a close at Clark High School in San Antonio.
This class in particular is microeconomics. You have to keep up with the reading, otherwise you'll get lost.
Even for National Honor Society scholar Rachel Deschner, there are some classes she won't miss at all after graduation.
It feels good getting out of that class because you don't have to think anymore.
There is, however, one class on the other side of this huge school that Rachel never misses, and she's never late.
Rachel, you've got your materials in there. Get all your stuff together. Let's get back there and get working on your project. Okay?
This has been my life for 2 years, so this is one of my favorite parts of school. It's fun to just hear the sounds, and you walk in and you know, like, you're gonna be working, and it's gonna be gross, and you're gonna get your hands dirty, and your face is you're gonna walk out with black smudges on your face, but it's exciting. When I first welded, I was nervous because I didn't think I'd do it right. I've been making everything kind of in pieces, like a giant puzzle that just needs to be fit together. So I made this first, and it's a little bit messy on top, starting to rust a little bit. And I'll get that once I'm perfecting it, but this is the neck. So this, I cut 2 notches right here, and that will fit on back here. People ask how I knew how to make it. A lot of it was being able to feel it because I'd played this was actually my 7th year playing violin. So I kind of know the ins and outs of the curves and how it's supposed to look. I play in the Clark High School Orchestra.
Rachel's going to come out and she's going to ask for 2 A's. Good evening. Welcome to the Clark High School Orchestra Spring Concert. I would like to introduce our concertmaster, Rachel Deschner.
It's the final concert of the year at Clark High, a farewell performance of sorts for Rachel, who makes violas but plays the violin.
Every time I go on stage, it's a little nerve-wracking, but once you start playing, it gets easier and easier. You never really get used to the crowd being there, no matter how good you get. When it sounds right is when